Hmm.
Okay. So good morning to everyone. I'm Mayur here, who would be coordinating for the today's session. I welcome you all on the 7th International Multidisciplinary Conference on Current Research Trends, Day 2, Session 1. So, yesterday we had a group presentations, and today we are going to start with a group presentation, and then there would be one-to-one presentation as per the requested by presenters. Apart from that, we also have pre-recorded presentations as well. So the candidates who ask for pre-recorded presentations, those presentations will be available on our YouTube channel. I would like to inform everyone that the candidates who ask for a pre-recorded presentation, we are not going to take a question answer session for those pre-recorded videos here. Today, after our keynote speak, we are going to start with the group presentations only, and question answer sessions would be for group presentation, and later on for one-to-one presentation, not for pre-recorded videos. Okay. So let me tell you some brief idea about our conference. This is the 7th of our International Multidisciplinary Conference. We started this 4 years back. In pandemic scenario, we had a conference twice a year, and it's an immense pleasure for me to inform you that the next conference that is going to happening in next year, in the month of January, that would be technically co-sponsored by IEEE. So we are striving hard to get approval from a IEEE, and fortunately we are getting a IEEE as a technical sponsor for us. So I urge all the participants to please be in touch with our coordinators so that you would be a part of our upcoming conferences as well. So without wasting much time, let's begin our today's session. Our keynote speakers speak. I would like to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Jericho Isija and Dr. Paresh, that they are here. They have given us a time, and they would be giving their guidance to you all. And once after keynote speak done, then we're going to start with our group presentation. So let's invite our first keynote speaker, Dr. Jericho Isija. Let me give brief idea about him. Dr. Jericho Duran Isija, his expertise in teaching research, social sciences, information technology, and management. Talking about his accomplishment, he has earned units in Doctor in Business Administration. He was awarded by Theophany University Master in Ministry Education. He is an international webinar speaker and research presenter. He has published many research articles in national and international journals. He has published books with various publishers, and he has also presented research in 3rd International Congress of Human and Social Science. So without wasting time, I would like to invite our first keynote speaker, Dr. Jericho, to please present his keynote speech. Dr. Jericho.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much. I sent already my presentation to the Secretariat.
Okay, sir. Just give me 1 minute to share it on screen. I'm sharing my screen. Just give me 1 minute, sir.
Okay. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Can I start now?
Yes, sir. You can start with your presentation.
So to the organizers of this event, of this conference, I mean, 7th International Multidisciplinary Conference and Current Research Trends 2023. This 6th and 7th January. So I would like to thank I would like to thank opportunity to Research Circle and to the virtual audience. I would like to say good morning and good afternoon and good evening to the rest of the viewers in YouTube. So first, I would like to present to you my presentation about utilization of findings. Okay. Okay. So we have here the ultimate goal of research is to improve people's lives. That's the ultimate goal of research to attain the better quality of life. We have researches because we have problems to attain and to solve such problems. Okay. Um, Research is never finished unless findings are utilized. So it's not enough to come up with just a research title and have a methodology, data gathering procedure. You have your process in data gathering, and you come up with results and conclusions and recommendations. So it's not enough that you done with your research because it is more imperative to utilize the findings or results based on your research output. And research is really a cyclical process because after determining the problem, then here comes the solution in your research. So all you need to do is to come up with your replicate. You need to replicate another set of thesis, another set of study based on the findings that you have. That's why the, research is a cyclical process. Okay, so utilization of research findings. What do we mean say research or utilization? This is the process of moving evidence into practice to improve people, okay, and communities. So we are serving as a researcher. We are serving in the good of on the betterment of the community. Sometimes called research to practice. Okay, so research to practice, research uptake or upskilling, knowledge translation, evidence uptake, and implementation or implementation science. Okay, so all we need is to transmit another form of knowledge based on our research findings. That is why we have to utilize or use research output. Research utilization is not just a cog in the wheel of development. Okay, it is the wheel. When done right, it includes some form of ongoing stakeholder engagement because you need to understand what has been your objective, what has been your purpose in your research, Networking and needs assessment. Of course, you need to have needs assessment for you to come up with research objectives, and based on that research objective, you need to have a corresponding solution across global, regional, and national learning exchanges. Strategies are also developed to scale up effective practices. So based on the problems that you presented and your results, you can come up with effective strategies, practices, and programs, and ensure that evidence is used in decision making. So we have here the word decision making and development and promotion of policy. Okay, it is clearly manifested in, or in the event we will be utilizing research findings. Outputs also. Next slide. The outputs from research, the DOST-PC IIKR guide, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development. So we have here publication. This is the output of among the researches that we have to conduct, or that we conducted. Patent, product, people, services, places, and partnerships, and of course, what we mentioned before is the policy or the policies. Okay, so let's take it one by one. When we speak of publication, almost all research projects, the next slide, almost all research projects will have some basic research component. Okay, publication, under publication. In this case, the main output will be contribution to the general body of knowledge. That is why it is really necessary for you to publish your study, publish or perish. So it's not enough that you conducted your research, because the next step is to really publish your research output, so that it will be available and accessible in the internet, and community will benefit or gain based on the research findings that you have. Okay, so index conference presentation, it can be done also to local publication, international non-ISI publication, Scopus or ISI index publication, and high impact factor journal publication. Okay, so this is one of the outputs from research. Okay, second is what about patents? Okay, so like publications, patents are evaluated. Okay, evaluated according to how far in the patent application has been achieved. Okay, considered in this particular output are completed prior art research, patent application submitted, utility model granted, and patent granted. So this is under the second output in research, we call patents. Okay, so we have also product, the beneficiary, benefactor of research output. Products or projects with a product or invention as output are also evaluated. Okay, in terms of the product's actual value and how far the product is from commercialization. This actual market value of the product is really calculated. We have a prototype produced with valuation done by PCIERD of the technology product. Product has acquired licensing agreement with a private company, and product is already commercialized. Okay, so it's not all about publication, patents, but also the product. We have also benefactors of research output, the people services, because this output quantifies services provided to people. Number one, number of trained personnel in specialized fields of studies through workshops conducted, the addition to the scientific workforce by graduating science major through project. Example, we have BSMSc and PhD degree holders. Public service as adopted by national agency or an LGU. An example of this is reduction of flood levels along public roads. So we have people services because of your research findings. Okay, places. The next P, we have places and partnerships. These are established laboratories, institutions, and training programs that will likely produce publication, patents, products, trained science and technology workers, and policies in the future. Okay, so the last benefactors, that the last will be policies. Okay, science-based policies that have been institutionalized. The next slide, policies, science-based policies that have been institutionalized in the form of congressional laws, executive and administrative orders, policy guidelines for government agencies and the local government units. So guys, those are the outputs from research based on the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development. So we have here the situation and gaps. Okay, let me read this one. 70%, because 70% of research paper, we have thesis, dissertation generated by undergraduate and graduate students, teachers, and professors are not, okay, not utilized. So 70%, only 70% are not utilized. Okay, a scholarly research outputs are buried deeply in reports and not transmitted. Okay, not transmitted into real practice, commonly called file drawer problem. So according to the study of Waddell 2002 and Wagner 2019. So these are among the situation. Another gap. Many relevant research results did not reach their target audience with the kind of culture existing in the academic community. It was manifested in the study of Sine and Mayer 2014, replicated by J.R. Raj and Dwight Viva 2020. So those are the gaps. So what about the opportunities? Okay, so as opportunities, we have here, as researchers, we do not only contribute to the existing body of knowledge. I guess I am through with this, but we address practically the gaps. Yes, as a researcher, we need to address the gaps and concerns of the society, because as researchers, all we need to do is to help really the society we live in through research-based information systems, processes, tangible products, and technologies. Okay, so we translate the results of researches to transform and improve the living standard of communities. Okay, improve policies and delivery of educational services. Okay, those are the opportunities for school and universities. They focus from being a research university into becoming entrepreneurial university. Okay, so we have this kind of opportunities. On the results and findings have shown that there is poor dissemination. Okay, that's the reason why we need to utilize research, because results and findings have shown that there is poor, okay, dissemination, availability, and appropriation of research findings despite great awareness of the usefulness in solving education problems and enhancing the quality of life of the citizens. Okay, we have poor dissemination. Okay, it therefore means that research outputs have not been able to translate. Yes, so some researchers have shown their interest in making some researches, but they failed to translate their action research, their thesis, the dissertation, the research that they have conducted into reality and practices. Okay, therefore means that research outputs have not been able to translate into development indices appreciably, and consequently have not helped in building the education sector effectively for sustainable national development. So it failed to address the gap, that is to ensure the community that they, to help the community that they live in. Yes, one. Okay, we have here next presentation, next slide. Educational research findings should be utilized, okay, in the school system, because research helps to solve existing problems and challenges. So the role of educational research is very vital in decision making. Of course, in decision making, in crafting policies, programs, and projects, it is really helpful in determining the results and findings findings from the research conducted. Although educational research requires effort, time, and sometimes capital resources, the school system should allow teachers enough time and resources for research purposes. Okay. Okay, next slide. So what should be done to translate research findings into action? We really need to translate, okay, research findings into action and practice. So what should be done? Okay, I have here techniques on what should be done to translate research findings into action. We have here number one, establish problem or issue with stakeholders. Okay, number one. Next slide. Technique is to establish the problem or issue with stakeholders by mapping them. Okay, you need to map out what are the needs to be assessed in the community. Finding collaborators, co-investigators, community partners is essential. Your professional network may assist as you locate possible partners and begin to develop working relationships. Okay, depending on the topic, there may be an established community. Okay, so we have here community-based organization. That is why you need to have community-based, community participative research in which you can try to forge partnership or need to build network or partnership from the community. Technique number two. Okay. Establish the problem or issue with stakeholders. Once you have a team in place, identification and formulation of the problem or issue begin, two major issues come to bear. Number one is the social value of the project. Okay, social value of the project and an accounting for multiple stakeholder needs and perspective. Also, the concept maps are often useful in the process. Begin with primary topic and visually show how the different stakeholders relate to it, including the knowledge, perspective, and skills they bring to the research. This is something to do with establishing the problem or issue with stakeholders for you researcher to connect with the community. Okay. Also, we have the technique number three. Next slide. Literature review. Okay. Global, continental, national, regional, local literature review in this design is problem-centered and interdisciplinary or tradisciplinary, often drawing literature from numerous disciplines and research traditions in order to present a holistic review of the current and landmark research related to the central, okay, to the central problem. This process may involve extensive negotiations between differently positioned research partners, according to Levy 2011, in addition to different disciplinary or other areas of expertise. Culturally sensitive definition must be sought. Okay, so this is under literature review. The fourth technique has something to do with developing the research question. So as well as in getting research approaches. So in this technique, next slide, we need to develop research questions also. Okay. Next slide. The research team collectively generates the central questions the research seeks to answer. This process optimally involves bringing members of the community of interest into development process, okay, to create community generated research question. That's technique number four. To generate result or in order for you to determine the needs of the community, you need to develop research questions which the community can relate to your specific research problem. The fifth technique will be develop the research plan. Okay, so you need to develop research plan and its implementation. Philosophy of the research transformative paradigm, setting participants, okay, for ethical consideration, designing methods, this simply the approach and research construction research process. We have also data analysis. How are you going to analyze data in your community? Expected outputs, your outcomes, possible outcomes. Your it has also something to do with the financial aspect, the proposed budget, timeline, and resources, financial resources, and of course, data gathering, analysis, and interpretation. The fifth technique, okay? The sixth technique is representation and dissemination of results. In order to benefit the relevant stakeholders, that's what I mentioned before, stakeholders, because you need to address the concern of the stakeholders. The audience of your project accessibility is paramount. Two aspects of research findings must be accessible: their content, okay, and their distribution. This was taken from the idea of Levy 2011. First, the findings need to be understandable. Of course, the findings must be related, or it must be to address, no? To address the concern of the community. Second, the findings need to be distributed to channels to which identified audience stakeholders have access. Also, the materials developed and generated from research must be copyrighted, okay, before actual utilization and dissemination. Okay, so this is the framework on how are we going to deal with research findings. We have here the factors that affect research utilization. What are the factors that affect research utilization, or the use of your findings into action and practice? We have research process, involvement. Yes, okay, we have to involve the stakeholders. We mentioned already that it has something to do with the benefactors, the community itself, the society, okay, the respondents, and the organization. Community dissemination is also included, and the macro contextual factors. This will pave the way in the activities to promote. This will promote, no? This will promote your research utilization. So utilization of research findings, we have evidence-based, advocacy, yes, advocacy, media coverage, use of results in groups, endorsement by key decision. Also, we have policy, programs, and practice. So practice under which the behavior change, the donors, the providers, the clients, the community, and the availability of or use of service or product. So this will be manifested if we utilize fully the research output. Okay. Before I closed my keynote speech, allow me to announce. To say with this, research is creating. Okay, so basically, research is creating new knowledge. And knowledge is of no value unless you have put into practice. This is according to Anton Chekhov. Okay, knowledge is of no value unless you put into practice. So let's put researches into actual practices. Okay, so that the community will benefit from our research findings. Okay, and a challenge for researchers. Next slide. Let us aim to research because we want to improve the society we live in. I have here the references from the presentation of Dr. Gilbert Magulod, also the Dr. Renato Baliada, Professor 6 from UEP. Okay, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for lending your ears to my presentation. This has been your keynote speaker from the Philippines, Sir Jericho Duranesiha, saying goodbye.
Well, thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful presentation. We get to know about various techniques that would help us in order to grow in our research journey. Thank you so much for that. Now, yeah. Yes. So thank you, Jericho, sir. Now, moving toward our next keynote presentation. And our next keynote speaker is Dr. Paresh Shah. Let me give a brief introduction about him. Dr. Paresh Shah is a principal and professor in Rai School of Management Studies, Rai University, Ahmedabad. His MCom, LLB, DBM, FCMA, PhD, FDP, D8, DDM, and many more educational degrees he is having. He is an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad, India. He is author in Oxford University Press, Ville, India. He also published book with a publisher Lambert Academic Publishing, Germany. He is an international awardee and has published many national and international journal publication. Apart from that, he is having many books published with a very good publishers. And it's an immense pleasure for me to invite him as a keynote speaker here. And now I would like to request Dr. Paresh Shah sir to please take it ahead with your presentation. Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, your voice is not coming. Please unmute yourself. No, it's not unmuted.
Doing it, sir. Okay,
Yes.
I have done it. I think I am being audible to every one of you.
Yes, sir, you are.
I am being audible.
Yes,
I am
sir.
audible to everyone.
Yes.
Okay. Now, friends, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all participants who have been attending this research second seminar from the globe at large. I am being highly thankful to Dr. Swini, Ms. Manini, Mr. Manoj, and also the sponsor of this program, International Institution of Knowledge and Research Management, CSI First Research Consultancy Firm, and the technological support being provided by the Varshyl Technological Pvt. This particular research project is basically on the way. I think I have not shown I have not started the proper way. Maybe I'm supposed to be make the presentation share with one of you, and I'm being somewhere stuck, friends. That's how I will do it. But now I'm being a git for that. Now I'm sharing my screen to all of you. I hope it is being viewable to every one of you.
Yes, sir, it is visible to us.
Okay. Okay. Now, friends, the very important thing is that my discussion is going on the view of the ways of being multidisciplinary in research. The multidisciplinary in research have been found at a very few researchers are trying to make it as a multidisciplinary. And as that Professor Dr. J. Score have mentioned, research is never going to be finished unless it is going to be utilized. And it is basically the cyclical process. I would like to be add in this that it should influence the socio-economical life in the interest of the community overall. It should be support for the same. So once it's going to be supported, it is always going to be possible for everyone to understand that how it is going to be happen for the society at large, and how we should work on those particular parameters. So this is basically what is happening to our research-based study. Now, when we try to be looks towards the wisdom of crowds, like I can put it in one way that I am basically from the finance area. So basically, I should concentrate on the commercial and finance area related research. But when I try to be looks towards my practical life working over the period of time, because I am completing nearly the 28 years of my PhD. So I have total postdoctorate experience of the more than 28 years. And I found that whenever I used to be saying continuously that I am going to be work on this, then the very important point is happening, that how I should try to manage it on a regular basis. So, you know, the moment I go to the only finance and account related research, there is a somewhere stop circle. And those are saying that my research is only being coming to the corporate sector. It does not support the social life. So I have been converted myself into the social and life research area. So the wisdom of the right circumstances or groups are going to be remarkably intelligent. So, you know, you are going to be make a group of the intelligent people instead of to working alone. That is the one of the very important thing we provide. That there is a internal discussion should be taken place between the two parties, and they should do the working on that. Then the question is being coming that structuring of the multidisciplinary research. I will come to the difference of something later on. The structuring for the multidisciplinary research is basically going to be under interprofessional education. Here we as a teacher, I don't say the professor. Officially, I should have to use the word professor. But when I say the teacher, means as a teacher, I am a learner. So that's a very important thing. So students and teachers of two or more professions associated with commercial activities or social activities engaged in learning with, from, and about each other to improve the collaboration and quality of work. Like in our university, we have the Department of Agriculture, Department of Pharmacy, Department of Management, Department of Commerce, Department of Auto Engineering, and so many all departments are there. So whenever I do some research, I should provide the necessary support, or they should provide the necessary support to me to reach to certain conclusions. Like if my engineering department tries to do something and there is a need is happening for the econometrics applications, then I am supposed to provide the support. Same way happened to me, that I need some support, then I take the support of quantitative people or like that, or here agriculture department. Some of my research where I was trying to do it is some example of the multidisciplinary research on that. What is the yield per hectare? What is the yield per servant? Or what is going to be the yield is being happen? What are the percentage of the land available for the agriculture purpose? What is being give you support? There I require the support of the agriculture department, environmental department. So it is basically the IPN is happening, interprofessional learning, any teaching and learning activity, promoting collaborative practices. Next, we try to be looks towards it, we can come to the point that there is an interprofessional collaboration is being required. It means that as a university, we try to make a collaboration. That's one of the very important things. We make a collaboration with some of the service providers, like our insurance companies. We make a collaboration with our automobile manufacturers in the state of Gujarat, dyes and chemical producers in the state of Gujarat of India. And then we understand that how we say our decision making around the socio-economic issue. Like nowadays, because of the pollution point, our engineering department also supporting some of the manufacturers, some of the industrial association to develop some knowledge. So it is basically impacting based on interprofessional collaborations. The interprofessional collaborative practice. After we make an international collaboration, we try to make a communication and decision making, which enabling us to get a synergic influence of the group knowledge and skill. Like people are trying to be saying nowadays, that the electrical vehicle, the proportion of the fire is been increasing in the state or in the India at night. So there is a need is happen for all of us. That what way we can complete it. So it is basically providing us the central research person as an academician to seek the answer that how we should do. And that is the basic tone of the multidisciplinary research. So I can say that multidisciplinary research is basically the combining of all disciplines by you. Number two, different type of research combining the discipline. Multidisciplinary research. So researchers from different disciplines work separately on the same problem and then say. So when you look to the photographic symbol in the second row, first is indicating that there is a multidisciplinary research is being going on. The interdisciplinary research, which is being shown on the top place, that researchers from different disciplines work closely together throughout the research process to be done. Then cross-disciplinary, the bottom side photographs indicate that you borrow the concepts and methods. See, whenever we do the research, there is a need of the construction is being required and the variables are to be found out. And then the relationship between the variables are being presented into construct. So we try to use the S&M method, and by utilizing the PICO method, we try to understand that how we can make to the cross-disciplinary research. The multidisciplinary fields, when we try to look towards the overall universe at night, there are the three types of the genres are in pictures. Number one is known as a mechatronics. It means that those are having a capacity to have the five senses, or if not on five senses, few senses they are capable enough to use it. Like here I shown the monkey who uses the four senses, not five senses, because he does not have the capacity to speak. Then based on, or when we say the human being, as a human journey, we have the own five type of the senses are there. Then it is going to be resulted into the bioinformatics. So whenever mechatronics have been added by the bioinformatics, It means that we are trying to be look towards the environment at nice. We use the biological situations, and whenever these two things are combined together, we are coming down to the primary level of iconology, and that is why it is very important across the globe. The iconologists are working, and they try to find out that what way the human being or any type of the animals are being existed, and then they are being evaporated like that they can hook it to it. So it's one of the very important parameters for the multidisciplinary phase. So multidisciplinary social research in the today's concern, we are looking towards the environment impact assessment. That how the environment impact assessment is going to happen. So there is going to be the goal to identify the likely effect of a new factory. Like some factory have been established in a particular area. Now government may declare it as a non-polluted area. What to do? So environment scientists are predicting the emissions. Then economists is going to be conduct the cost-benefit analysis. See, the cost-benefit analysis may be indicating that a particular place, a particular project is advisable. But sociologists are going to be examining those impacts on the local communities to happen. And that's why it's very nicely being explained that there is a emission measurement and the modeling is to be done. So that how we can get the best control aspect is been coming with a best option of the clean air in a particular area. And the final report should take the care of everything. Now, in this particular case, when we try to be looks towards the interdisciplinary social research, which is very important, because there is going to be the language we use. It may be the English spoken countries, non-English spoken countries, and artificial intelligence. Goal is going to be held that computers should understand the natural language in order to perform the useful task. We have the very good example being available on the Google Translator. Google Translator is basically supporting us in a selected language. You type, then it may be converted into another language, and that way the translation is going to be happen. So artificial intelligence is going to be happen by utilization of Java, C++, or previously we used the binary method. But in this case, the binary method of the 0 and 1 is going to be used. Natural language, which is I already said, spoken by the people at night. And third is going to be the motivation. Sophisticated linguistic analogies for human, like sophistication application for a range of tasks or operations are required. So we have to understand that in what type of the task and operations we are going to do it. The next is going to be the cross-disciplinary research, where we borrow the construct. That is one of the very important thing in the research parameters, that we should try to find out the dependent variable, independent variable, and then we work out the different construct for the same. And where the SNMS PES method is likely supported in the case of quantitative research. So it's a cross-disciplinary construct of the borrowing is happen. Somewhere we try to make the cross-disciplinary method borrowing. Like in a finance area, we are using the certain financial tool. we are using the Python programming. I think one of you I have it. And that Python programming is basically method which is used by the engineering person or science person, being now used or made to be used by the non-engineering person. And that method make the necessary improvement. So here I have shown the two human beings are exchanging their idea by certain way of communications. So cross method, disciplinary method of borrowing, the very important thing I say that there is a stereotype congruence have been happened where item needs have been changed. So in the past, people used to be take the story, Emily, graph as an important thing. Nowadays, people are looking towards books, so addition, and then they comes to the number. So investigating attitude towards native and non-native English researchers is very important. So as a teacher, we are researchers. As a teacher, we are learning. So in case of multidisciplinary research, if you are feeling that I know everything and I don't want to learn new technique, then it is not going to be useful in the today's culture. So we have to use the implicit association test from the socio-scientific factors. So few good universities across the globe have been conducting the implicit association test for the teacher too. Being multidisciplinary, one is going to be the traditional multidisciplinary. Under the traditional multidisciplinary, we are going to be addressing the new problems, creating the innovations, and it is normally going to be the difficult to set up. In the cross-disciplinary, we are extending our own field. I say that as a finance and account person, I was looking something, but somewhere when I have my interest having emerged out in the agricultural activities, I try to apply the same knowledge with the support of agriculture faculties, agriculture universities, and I extend my own field. And its creativity happened within my own field, but I have taken the different perception. So it's a high quantity happen within the own faculty. Phenomena, different type of the phenomena, research approaches, and also we are going to be the conceptual tools that had previously been pursued independently. Previously, what we were used to be pursued individually, now is been coming together as a combined thing. So the main advantage of the shared research is that outcomes that are superior to the level of the despair team or a solicitary research to address more effectively in intractable social problems from a number of perspectives. Like in India, we are trying to be safe that there is going to be the removal of the poverty is being required. So this particular social problem can be seen from the number of perspectives. From the government side, implementer side, from the beneficiary side, then the chain of the people are becoming. So economical modeling experiment have shown that diversity of your working is more important than the intelligence. You have the basic level of the intelligence, but then you try to apply it to the different type of experiment, observations, survey method, but you should be unbiased in that particular research. So finally, I can say that always we should have the symptom of wisdom as a curiosity. Very important. So when we have the curiosity in our mind, we are going to be gather the data. And then evidence is calmness and perseverance. So data are going to be passing through the outliner and we get the necessary information. The causes are experiment and understanding maximum negacy. It means that it's going to be provide you very nice knowledge and wisdom also, the support for chain of working for us. That how the chain of working is going to be happen. So this particular legacy is being supporting us to understand that how it is to be done. Now, friends, you can contact me whenever you require. I have put up my digital visiting card here. And you can raise any question to me. You can get in touch with me through different networks and everything. Thank you very much to the research second and also the all other participants to provide me the opportunity to explain the today's relevant parameters of the socio, eco, and cultural benefit for the society at large. And how as a teacher, as a researcher, as a learner, we can combine on activities on together. Mr. Manoj, now you can take over the charge. Thank you very much for providing the opportunity to me. Thanks to all participants, other key committee members, presenters, and I hope that now when we start the presentation after 10 minutes, presentation is going to be the nicely end. Yes, Manoj sir, you can now start.
Well, thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful presentation, and we really get motivated whenever we get these kind of, research talks. We feel that we also enhance our skills, and looking at your visiting card, we feel that there is long way to go.
No, everything can be possible. At this age also, at this superannuated age also, I am being good enough with IT, working and to do the research. So you can understand that nothing stops you except your firm determination and dedication. And we are not the politician. That's a very important thing. Politicians try to be put the neck of each other. We people are never doing it. We are joining the neck, joining our hand with each other with an intention to improve the socio-economic life. It may be how much being heard today is not important, but when it is being documented, published, after the 50 to 60 years, people are recognizing that it is a good work being done. That is why today we are recognizing the unfurled Marshall and everyone. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Now, we are going to start with our presentations. We are having 2 sessions today. Initially, the first session would be having 3 presentations. And later on, we will be having a lunch break of half an hour, and then we will go ahead with our next session. Meanwhile, whenever we will be having our next session, that time one-to-one presentations are also scheduled.
Okay, sure, sir.
So let me, sir, can you please turn off the screen sharing option?
Yes, definitely, sir. Give me 2 minutes, okay?
Sure.
So it is not a pause, it's a stop video, correct? No.
Yes, you can click on stop share option.
Stop share.
Otherwise,
I got it.
Okay, great. I request all the participants to please be ready with their presentation. please be ready with their PPTs so that on time there shall not be any issues at all. For this session 1, we will be having session share Professor Dr. Paresh Shah sir and Dr. Jericho sir with us. Once the presentation is done, they would be asking you the questions, and it will be a healthy session and a healthy discussion. And other listeners would also be available there so that we can also take some good points from these discussions and the presentations. So without wasting time, let's begin with our first manuscript ID. Manuscript ID is IMCCRT 2023-4035 and paper entitled as Design of Plate and Frame Heat Exchanger for Regeneration Section of Milk Pasteurization Process. So I would request the presenter to please unmute himself or herself and share their screen.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Sivamani, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Wonderful, sir. Please do share your screen, sir.
Yeah, I shared, sir. Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir. We can see the presentation.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Excellent.
Yes, sir. You can go ahead with your presentation.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. So, good morning to all of you. So, I am Dr. Sivamani, working in University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Salalah, Oman, with my students Amira, Asma, Jamila, Malak, and Reem. So today my presentation is on design of plate and frame heat exchanger for regeneration section of camel milk pasteurization process. Today I am going to give an overview on introduction, literature review, and what is milk pasteurization process. Then I am going to talk on the project, that is the design of plate and frame heat exchanger, some design results, conclusion, and references. So introduction, actually the plate and frame heat exchanger, it is a compact heat exchanger. So why it is called as compact heat exchanger? Because it is having very light weight with minimum volume and very high effectiveness. And in general, the heat exchanger, it is a heat transfer device that transfers heat from 2 or more process fluids without direct contact. And it has major technological and innovation role in the advancement fields like transportation, nuclear power plant, dairy plant, renewable sources of energy, and so on. And it plays a similar significant role also in the advancement of oil refinery, where hydrogen production is in demand. So the compact heat exchangers are classified into 3 types. It is based on the surface area density, which is defined as surface area to volume ratio. So the first type is compact, whose value is greater than or equal to 700 meters square per meter cube. The second type is called as laminar flow heat exchanger, where the surface area density is above 3000 meters square per meter cube, and it is also called as micro heat exchangers, where the surface area density is more than 10,000 meters square per meter cube. So when we analyzed the composition of camel milk, we found to contain 4% carbohydrates, 4% lipids, 3.5% protein, 1% minerals, and 87.5% water. So actually the fouling takes place in heat exchangers because of the presence of carbohydrates, sorry, not on carbohydrates, because of lipids and proteins, because of lipids and proteins in milk. So literature review, the Tamil Selvan et al. Studied the performance of corrugated plate heat exchanger for milk pasteurization in the presence of nanofluids. And the Prasanta, they studied the pasteurization of goat milk. Panchal evaluated the performance of heat exchanger based on solar system. Suyabsri compared the electrical method of pasteurization. So the 3 methods of milk pasteurization are LTLT, HTST, and UHT. So LTLT means low temperature long time, HTST means high temperature short time, and UHT means ultra heat treatment. So the low LT, the milk is heated for 63 degrees Celsius. Sorry, for 130 degrees Celsius. Sorry, for 63 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. And HTST, it is heated for 74 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. And UHT, it is used for very high temperature at very short time. And the LT is the outdated technology now for milk pasteurization techniques. And HTST is used only for milk pasteurization. And UHT is used for pasteurizing the milk, pasteurizing the long life milk. So this is the process of milk pasteurization where 3 heat exchangers are involved, in which the heating section and cooling section. The heating section, the milk is heated by the hot water, and in the cooling section, the milk is cooled by the cold water. And the heat exchanger 1 is the regeneration section where milk is heated and cooled both by the same fluid, that is milk. So the design of patent frame heat exchanger involved many steps. So the first one is calculation of heat load. The second one is the calculation of Reynolds number, Prandtl number, Reynolds Nusselt number, and individual heat transfer coefficient for hot fluid. And the next one is the calculation of the same Reynolds number, Prandtl number, Nusselt number, and individual heat transfer coefficient along cold fluid. Then we calculated the overall heat transfer coefficient. After that, the pressure drop along hot fluid and cold fluid are calculated. And here is the summary of patent frame heat exchanger design in the form of Excel sheet. And as a conclusion, the heat transfer area required is 0.75 meters square, and the heat load is approximately 7 kilowatt. And the error in calculation of overall heat transfer coefficient is less than 30%, which means that the design meets the quality standards. And the pressure drop along hot and cold fluid sides are 4 and 1 Pascal respectively. And hence, the designed patent frame heat exchanger could be effectively used for pasteurization of camel milk. These are the various references we have used. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for your presentation.
Yes, sir.
Now, I would like to request Dr. Paresh Shah, sir, if he is having any question to ask. Please.
Can I ask the question, Manoj?
Yes, sir, you can ask.
Dr. Shivamani, the very important point is coming to my mind that whenever you have prepared an Excel sheet and you are coming to the conclusion, whereby example you have said that the heat transfer area is actually happen 0.75 m square. Now the question is coming that how can we say that it is high, low, or what is the way? So what are the standards normally being established for the
Yes,
same?
sir. Yes, sir. So as I explained in the introduction, so we can say whether it is high or low based on the surface area density. So here based on the surface area density, here the value is 750 meters square per meter cube, which is common for compact heat exchangers.
See, then in your research paper, it should categorically mention what should be the expected value, what should be the actual value happen.
Yeah,
Second
sure.
point is coming.
Yes,
Second
sir.
point is coming that how many sample working you have did.
Actually, it is,
That your conclusion is based on how many samples.
yeah.
Small sample or high sample size.
No, actually here, actually it is an industrial project and we collected camel milk from the dairy company. And actually we have collected only one sample, sir. But for the analysis, we have done triplicate of the experiment. We have done each analysis in 3 times. But the sample, we have taken only one sample, sir.
Okay. Okay, so you are saying that there is an object is the same, subject is the same. Sorry, subject is the same, and on the same subject, you have applied the parameters for the 3 types.
Yes, sir, correct, sir.
Would you not think that the cow milk situation should also be compared? without buffalo milk?
Sir,
Because
actually,
whenever we try to...
yes,
Yes,
sir,
Sandeep.
please, sir. You please proceed, sir. You please complete the question.
My suggestion is that when you want to make your multidisciplinary research parameters, it should compare the different type of the situation, compare it with a standard level, and instead of taking the one subject and apply for the verification for 3 times, my suggestion is that you should have the different samples, like a 10 or 20 samples on a daily basis should have been used.
Yes,
And
sir, I
then you
agree
can
with
say
you.
that, okay, then only the conclusion is going to be generally beneficial to the society at large. Okay, you have done a very good, nice work, but
Yes,
this
sir.
is the suggestion from my side.
Yes, sir.
That
Actually,
as ever we are doing to the...
actually, in this work, we have compared the performance of plate type heat exchanger and shell and tube heat exchanger, sir. Actually, the design of shell and tube heat exchanger is in progress now. So once we complete that, when we are going for publication, then we will compare the performance of both the heat exchangers, sir.
Okay, very nice way it's done that by you, but you
Yes,
compare the cow milk and buffalo milk and somewhere say that which is going to be the major beneficial.
Sure,
Yes,
sir. Very good
Dr.
suggestion, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Dr. Jayiko, you have any question?
Okay, so presenter, congratulations to your wonderful presentation. Design and plate and frame heat exchange for regeneration section of milk pasteurization process. Okay. In your presentation, I guess you just overlooked the part in research which is recommendation, because after I guess the last part was references, and the second to the last was conclusion. You failed to include recommendation. So for now, can you provide us with the recommendation of your study?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, as Dr. Parishar said, so we can extend our work to cow milk and goat milk also. Actually, the buffalo is not available in our region, but goat and cow are available here. So we can extend our work to cow and goat milk, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Notes taken. Presenter, thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. May I know session chairs have any other question to ask? Okay. Okay. So moving toward our next presentation. Manuscript ID is IMCCRT 4052 and a paper entitled as COVID-19 Pandemic and Self-Care Practices Among Undergraduate Students. I would request presenter to please unmute yourself and share the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Do you hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Good morning. Good afternoon from here in the Philippines, and of course, good afternoon as well there. Allow me to introduce myself first. I am Professor Esnida Alaudika, an assistant professor from Mindanao State University. And the title of my research is COVID-19 Pandemic and Self-Care Practices Among Undergraduate Students in Southern Philippines. All right, so the undergraduate students are at greater risk for developing mental health issues as a result of the recent pandemic caused by COVID-19 and the abrupt transition in the educational landscape from traditional to online classes. According to a study, one of the most important preventive factors against mental health difficulties among students is self-care. However, as a result of a significant societal shift brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, the regular routines of the students' lives have been severely altered and caused immense disruption in the daily structure of their lives. The objective of this study, the study attempts to examine the association between the self-care practices and general well-being of the undergraduate students in selected private schools in Southern Philippines during the unprecedented time of COVID-19 pandemic. This study, examining how students manage their own general well-being through self-care techniques that contains in terms of the physical, mental, emotional, academic, and social or family during the era of COVID-19 remains very relevant, especially for the student population in Southern Philippines that is underrepresented in self-care research. So here are the methodology that was utilized. The method of the research was used in the study is a descriptive correlational research designed to determine the self-care practice of undergraduate in selected private schools, of course, in Southern Philippines, specifically in Marawi City. There are 290 participants in the study who are undergraduate students in selected schools. And the sampling, there was a stratified simple proportional sampling method. And the instrument that we use, since it was during the pandemic, we gathered through online survey questionnaire that is divided into two main sections, the profile and the survey proper. The first part of the questionnaire was research remake, which contained the concerns on the social demographic characteristics of the respondents, such as the age, gender, the program year, and the parental monthly income. And of course, the second and third parts were the survey proper, that is the self-care practices and the general well-being scale. The data was encoded and treated through the statistical product and service solutions version 21 program using the 0.05 level of significance. The researcher used a descriptive statistics such as the frequency, percentage, mean, and standard deviation to report the results from the social demographic self-care practices with Likert scale questions. Then the study utilized an inferential statistics, which is the Spearman's law to determine the relationship between the self-care practices of the undergraduate students and their general well-being. So as to the results, the respondents aged 20 to 22 years old got the highest distribution with 66.67%. For the male and female, quite 50%, 50.5 for female and 49.5 for male. Among the program year, most of the respondents were in level 1 or first year, 47.4, and the monthly income, as you can see, it's accounting to 1,000 to 5,000 Philippine peso, or nearly also the same like 1.4 in the same 1.4 in Indian rupee and somewhere there. So this relationship between the self-care practices and the general well-being of the respondents, basically for the self-care in terms of physical, mental, emotional, academic, and social, family, it went, the result, because it's a Likert scale, the range interpretation became sometimes, and the general well-being, it resulted that the undergraduate students were in distress during the pandemic. And the significance relationship among the two, which are giving us a significant remark for all of the relationship in terms of physical self-care, mental, emotional, spiritual self-care, academic self-care, social life, and family self-care. So it means that the self-care practices have significant relationship with the general well-being of the students. As for the conclusion, Restriction of COVID-19 related to quarantine and online classes paved the student not to engage in self-care practices, and most of the undergraduate students enrolled in this private school do not regularly involve themselves on activities pertaining their self-care, and they are also in distress. This study showed that to be able to improve the students' general well-being, students should engage in self-care activities frequently, and this necessitates the educators and leaders to focus on programs aimed at improving the self-care practices of the undergraduate students to thus ensure optimum health. We have the following recommendation. Based on the findings and conclusion of the study, the researcher recommends that the Commission on Higher Education here in the Philippines should make plans towards improving and promoting the self-care practices of the undergraduate students to improve their general well-being. Universities and colleges should take extra measure into making sure that their students have their optimum health and general well-being by disseminating more information and or improving health education towards the importance of self-care practices, especially during this recent time of the pandemic, and further study about the other factors affecting their general well-being aside from the self-care practices, and of course further study about factors affecting the self-care practices among the undergraduate students. The study didn't end there, because the study is actually is a motivation for the proponent to create another project, or because it was found out that the undergraduate students were distressed during the pandemic, and it affected their general well-being. Thus, the proponent continued the study through creating a project or program in terms of linking the students online. That online service proposal will create a e-counseling to reach the students in their mental health, even if they are staying at home doing their courseworks. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and I hope to get connected with you all throughout your conferences in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I would like to request session chair if they have any question to ask, starting with Dr. Paresh Shah, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself. Please click on unmute, sir, so we can listen to your audio.
Yes, sir. Little bit I'm forgetting where I am being. Ajinda have made a very nice presentation, and she had tried to be concentrate on the need of the online education too. I just put one of the point that does it is possible for the Southern Philippines to start up the objective-based education, OBE. Because whenever we say the OBE, the undergraduate students are going to be multiple options having available to select the course. Like a person may be trying to be select the physics as a main subject, he or she may select the accounts as a first minor subject, and as a second minor subject, he or she may select the crafting also. Because persons are having a different type of the attitudes and minds are there. So is it possible that you may have the choice-based control system can be applied? If it's not there, then based on doing further research, you can suggest that there is an objective-based education is the need of the hours, and where the students who are pursuing the undergraduate study they can have the multiple options are being given. Aznida, you can give me the answer.
I'll just make my video off because of
Okay.
the internet bandwidth we have here.
Okay, no
With
problem.
regard, what I meant, what I understand from your question, sir, doctor, is you mean that if the outcome-based education can be held important through online, sir? Is that the question?
Yes, the question is that that is online education. My point is
Mm.
that the undergraduate students have the multiple
Yes.
choice should be available as a major subject, major subject number 1, major subject number 2, minor subject 1 and 2. Like I gave the example, students may have the major is a physics. He does not like the chemistry and biography, but he has a somewhere interest to join his father business, like so. So he may like to be study the accounts. Then as a minor 1, he can have the accounts. If the person have also the interest in the craft and design, then he can select as a minor 2 that particular subject. So then what happened that when the student is being graduated, then he is capable enough to apply his knowledge and willingness of the subject, willingness of the area of interest, he can move ahead. Number of times it happened that people used to be say me that after having a professional accounting degree and so many things, why you did try to go to the teaching? Because it is my interest area. And that forces you to do something more. So I know Philippines may not have such a structure can be created today, but in your research paper, definitely you can suggest this after doing some further study at your place. Otherwise, you have made a very nice presentation and conclusion, everything have been done very properly. Dr. Jericho may ask anything if he is being Dr.
Okay.
Dr.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can I
To start-
answer the? Oh,
Yes.
sorry. I'd like to answer
Yes.
the query of Dr. Parrish. It's a great point, doctor, that you mentioned about the outcome-based education, because it's actually a kind of education that we are applying also, because I am in health science. I'm teaching in a nursing course. It's a nursing program here in the Philippines, and we are also applying the outcome-based education. During the pandemic, we weren't able to maximize the skills or what you call this, the clinical practice duties, because we are not allowed to go out. Thus, online is the only option that we have. But the curriculum stays as an outcome-based education. So it remains the same, even our syllabus and other materials. We try to maintain the outcome-based education as our mantra or principle in teaching. So the online education is just a help to reach the students, because as I've mentioned in my research or presentation, we have established in the research that during the pandemic, these students are having problem mentally, emotionally, and physically. So because of the situation of the pandemic, so that's why it's not actually the online education. It's not part of the research, but it's just an extension of my project. It's another project outside of the presentation. I have just created that online, like it's a website to cater the students to reach them through e-counseling or telecounseling. So it's actually not part of the research, but it's something that I could, a program probably, or a project, or it's part of my recommendation, and I just continue with that because that's what research is all about. I think it was mentioned by our keynote speaker a while ago that
Yes.
let us aim to research because we want to improve the society that we live in. So it's part of the dissemination and help to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Ma'am Presenter, congratulations. I guess you're the only one representing the Philippines. Okay, so that was a wonderful research topic, especially this present time COVID-19 pandemic. So, Ma'am, may I just want to ask, what are your challenges you experience? What are the challenges that you have experienced in dealing with the data gathering process, data gathering procedure in your research undertaking?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir,
Yeah.
for your relevant question. Of course, it was already stated in the methodology that we have distributed our questionnaires through online survey, and it's really difficult when you, yes, sir, I think you are,
Yes, yes. Yes, I am.
okay, because
Queen.
okay, because the methodology is clearly we did it
Yes.
because it's a 290 research participants, and to
Yes.
reach them that far, and to reach them online, and to give them consent and all of that, and it's stressful, of course, also to the participants, not only to the researchers.
Mm.
I think the administration, and of course to get clearance from
Yes,
the
yes.
our institution before we
Okay.
proceed the procedure.
Okay. That's part of the ethical consideration in doing research. Okay. So, Ma'am, I guess you have something in your perspective on you want to duplicate or replicate some researches, particularly on self-care practices, I guess. Am I right? Okay, may I just suggest to incorporate qualitative part, because we do appreciate if we mix quantitative and qualitative. So maybe, especially if the topic is about like this one, self-care practices. Once again, congratulations, Ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a part of, it can be a part of the recommendation to get to
Yes,
the
yes.
part of mixed methods, sir. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
Okay, congratulations once again.
Yes. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. Now our next presentation manuscript ID is IMCCRT 2023-4078 and paper entitled as Comparative Analysis of the Level of Liberality of the Banking System Across Countries. So I would request presenter to please share the screen and begin the presentation.
Well, on my turn as well, I would like to thank you, the Research Circle, and our distinguished guests, the Dr. Varshyl and Dr. Jericho, for holding the session. I'm Orkan Sultanov from Baku, Azerbaijan, and I'm currently a PhD student at the Institute of Economics of Azerbaijan. And I'm doing my PhD on the comparison of banking liberality level of banking system across countries. And today I'm going to share with you my initial findings on that topic. So before starting, I would like to ask you to confirm that my voice is clearly heard by you and my screen is shared with you. Can you see the screen?
Yes, please.
All right, so let's get started. So it's been, the economic research is all about the comparisons, because at the baseline of all the economic research, it's basically comparison, which economic actors, which country or which company is doing better compared to others. So, at the very beginning of the economic theory, starting from Adam Smith's invisible hand theory to Keynesian's theory, it's been the topic of interest of economists, that public intervention should be in place or not. For example, Adam Smith's invisible hand tell that, okay, there is an invisible hand on the market and government don't need to interrupt the market, because this invisible hand would balance the market somehow. But starting from Marxists to Keynesians, they argued that human beings is not rational enough. So there can be some economic debacles on the market, and in that case, government should take the control. But the question is, to what extent government should take control? That's the first question. And the second question, as I already told, is the comparison. Which country is doing better policy compared to others? But as I already mentioned, it's all about the comparison, because without any comparison, any proper data, we can't argue that one country or one, let's say, company is doing better compared to others, okay? So it's all about the comparison, and today we're also going to compare the countries. So initially, there was some research done by research institutes, think tanks, on the performance of the countries. On the performance of the countries, take for example Fraser Institute, Heritage Foundation, and World Economic Forum and World Bank is prepared Human Development Index, Economic Freedom Index, Doing Business Index, which is suspended a couple of years ago. These indexes, these methodologies is basically comparing the countries based on their data, and they're suggesting that which country is doing better or not. But what are the main deficiencies of this methodology? They basically compare the countries from best to worst, from basically top to bottom, but not from left to right. Our objective, our basically research question is to introduce a tool to measure the state intervention, public intervention into the banking sector, specifically to the commercial banking sector. There is my topic does not cover the investment banking sector, and we also would like to measure and find out which country is liberal or dirigist according to the data. And because of that, we introduced Charter Capital Subindex, and I'm going to introduce you the main findings based on Charter Capital requirement of the countries. Which country is leftist, which country is rightist policy, has the rightist policy. The methodology I used on my research, the first I gathered the data from each country's central banks websites and the SAIC database, which is the economic database, open economic database. And I also used the formula that you can see, VI minus V mean and V max minus V mean. Max, that stands for maximum, and mean, that stands for the minimum observed data according to the chartered capital. And comparison of chartered capital is not fair enough because currency of the countries is different, and that's why we should bring them to a one currency. That's why first, to calculate the index, we first converted the chartered capital requirements into US dollars, and we basically divided that number to the country's GDP to compare fairly enough. Take, for example, Japanese economy is not same as Azerbaijan economy. So with chartered capital requirement from Azerbaijani central bank cannot be compared directly to the Japanese requirement. So that's why we divided that chartered capital requirement to the country's GDP to bring them to a measurable level. And then we decided on the border of leftness and rightness. So that's why we used moving average as a benchmark. Why moving average? Because, every day, every year, the data is changing. So it's possible, there cannot be a specific border. It's changing depending on the data. And as the countries are doing more leftist or rightist policy, that average can be moved from left to right or vice versa. So that's why we used the moving average as a benchmark, as a borderline. So here you can see my major findings. So as I already mentioned, it's the initial findings. So initially I do compare to 10 countries. Here you can see Japan, Turkey, Russia, China, India, South Korea, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. And you can see the most liberal country according to chartered capital requirements is the Japanese economy, and the most the leftist one, most dirigist one, is the Georgia, which is requiring more capital to enter into banking sector. And here you can see the moving average. It's 0.100, and I forgot to mention our final result is varying between 0 and 1. 1 means it's entirely dirigist country, and 0 means it's entirely liberal country. There is no government intervention. So here you can see our moving average is 0.182, which is tends to be more rightist, and you can see Georgia and Azerbaijan is on the left side, which means these two countries has more dirigist requirement compared to others. And you can see the Japanese and South Korea is on the rightist side, and they basically require the less charter capital to enter into the banking sector. So here are the distribution of the countries according to their income level. Here you can see the average value of the subindex or requirement for higher income countries is 0.02, and middle income countries, this number is 0.04, and for the low income countries, it's 0.333 and 2. So total number of countries, as you can see, is the 10 countries is compared. So that's the chartered capital subindex for my initial research. At the end, I would like to introduce a final integral index. You can see index of liberalism, dirigism of banking system, which can compare the banking system of the countries according to their level of public intervention. So basically looking at that numbers, you can have a clue that this country is having a dirigist or liberal policy according to their commercial banking system. But researchers should be very, very careful in terms of interpreting the result, because this result doesn't mean that country is good or bad. Maybe, for example, for one country, dirigist policy brings down to very good results. On the other hand, take, for example, France. There are more dirigist countries, but they are also doing, their economic performance is also good. So researchers should be very careful in terms of interpreting the final result. which is not comparing the, it's not basically top bottom, best to worst analysis. It is left to right analysis, and leftist or rightist country doesn't mean that these countries' economic performance is good or bad. So you can see how the calculation formula for the final index, which is, I gave the weights to different indicators. And I already talked about the charter capital, which contains 30% weight of all the indicators, and also RR, which stands for reserve requirement, IR, which stands for interest rate, and LR is leverage rate ratio. So I basically, on the final index, I'm going to analyze the 4 indicators, and today I only share with you a charter capital subindex. So for the future research, I would like to expand the boundaries of research with large and comprehensive database. So as I already mentioned, it's the initial research findings. I do hope that at the end, I'm going to compare to more than 50 countries. As the database grows, the result of my research will be more unbiased. And I also would like to mention that this methodology is firstly introduced by Professor Nazim Muzaffarli, Director of Institute of Economics, on 2014. He introduced a methodology of ILBRE, which stands for Index of Liberalism and Leftness and Rightness of Economy, and he compared 95 countries. He also mentioned that we can't basically take all the indicators into account. Why? Because there is some criteria. There are 3 criteria according to the author, Professor Muzaffarli. He claimed that to take the indicator into account, it should be assessed on the 3 criteria. First is quantitativeness, so we can easily measure and compare the results. Second, this indicator should be bidirectional. Bidirectional means that can be, up or down, and that can be left or right. And third is it should be the debatable on a political arena. So it means that if, let's say, the government is holding a more leftist policy, and the results of this policy is not reasonable enough so that politicians can debate and change the course of the government intervention. Here we are. Here is my final remarks. You can see the references I've used on my initial research. You can also look at Professor Muzaffarli's initial methodology and Basel committees, which is suggesting the tools for the central banks to intervene the economy, intervene the banking sector on time. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation, and I'm open for the questions and any comments. That's it, I guess.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Paresh, sir, if you have any question to ask.
Yes, Mr. Orkhan, very nice presentation, and thank you, Nation, you have done it. I have only one question, that when you have divided the countries into the 3 ways, high income countries, medium income countries, and no income countries, which amount have been taken by you?
Yeah, that's a very nice question. Very nice
Yes.
question. Yes, the countries that their GDP per capita up to $10,000, these are lower income countries. The countries, their GDP per capita from $10,000 to $30,000, that is middle income countries, and countries with more than $30,000 GDP per income per capita is higher income countries.
So you have taken the GDP per capita.
Yes,
per
exactly.
person.
Yeah,
Okay, very
exactly.
nice. And then whenever you are trying to be work out the leverage ratio, okay,
Mhm.
you are trying to be work out the third parameters of the, you can just open the slide. And third parameters you have taken into consideration in the equation model. Just try to become that.
Oh, I guess he muted. Oh,
Dr. Paresh sir, are you there?
I guess there is some technical issues, or
But you can speak it. My video have been somewhere stopped.
Professor, I
I don't know.
unable to hear your voice clearly as well.
Okay, so that's how our voice can be work on that.
Okay.
Yes, tell me.
I'm still having problem to hear Professor's voice.
Meanwhile, Dr. Jericho, if you would like to ask any question.
Hello, sir. I don't have any question for the presentation. I just want to congratulate the presenter or the researcher for having this kind of study.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jericho, for your support.
I feel that Dr. Paresh is having some technical issues and network issues as well.
Yeah, I feel so.
Yes, so that was the last presentation of this session. However, one more presentation was there, but unfortunately, they failed to connect due to some time barriers, on-time issues. Some came, that's why. Now we will have a lunch break, and then we're gonna start with the next session. That would be session 2, and after that there would be a one-to-one presentation also. So I would like to thank the session share for coming here, staying here, and giving your valuable guidance to all the participants. I also thank all the participants, presenters who presented in this session 1. Also to the listeners who were here, and all these recordings are available on our Business Rozgar YouTube channel. We'll be sharing the certificate of presentation to all the participants on their email ID. We have applied for a ISBN of this proceeding, so soon you will also get a proceeding on your email. If you have any question, you can connect with our coordinators. They will assist you. So we will connect again on this same Zoom link at 2 p.m. Indian time sharp. So thank you everyone for joining here. I declare this session is over. Thank you so much.